If you think minimalism is a beige couch, an empty shelf, and a personality that only drinks water, you've been sold the Instagram version. Real minimalism isn't an aesthetic, it's a set of choices that make your week cheaper, calmer, and easier to steer. It's the opposite of deprivation. It's design, removing friction, removing noise, and removing the quiet maintenance jobs that steal your attention for no return. The reason it works is simple. Most money problems are attention problems with price tags. When you fix the attention leaks, the money calms down. Today, I want to hand you 10 minimalist rules that actually work in the wild. Rules you can obey when you're tired, broke, busy, or all three. No white walls required. Just a small constitution for your life that lends you the kind of quiet you can build on. Here's the first rule, and it's the engine behind all the others. Define enough in a sentence. When you don't name enough, you will keep buying versions of the same thing because the feeling you're hunting can't be shipped to your door. Write this down where you can see it. What is the minimum set of tools, clothes, furniture, subscriptions, and routines that let you do your work, care for your people, and rest well? Be specific. 2 pairs of shoes I live in, 1 jacket that beats my weather, 1 bag that carries my day, a phone that works and stays quiet, a bed that makes sleep easy. Your list doesn't have to be austere, it has to be honest. With enough named, you stop auditioning your identity in the checkout line. Purchases become auditions for your week, not auditions for your personality. You don't stop buying, you stop browsing for meaning. The second rule is the only decluttering system that lasts. 1 in, 1 out, with a pause. Minimalism fails when you shove things into a closet and call it victory. It works when your home becomes a customs office. Anything new wants to enter, something old must leave first. Then, before the swap, insert a 24-hour pause. If the desire survives the pause, bring it in and move the outgoing item the same day. Sell it, donate it, or hand it to a friend who will actually use it. The pause exposes impulse. The swap prevents backsliding. And because we're talking about rules that survive real life, adopt a monthly outbox. 1 bin by the door that collects outgoing items. When it's full, it leaves that weekend. Minimalism is less about perfect storage and more about movement. Number 3 is the quietest money rule in this episode. Buy excellence where failure is expensive, buy used where depreciation is brutal, and ignore everything else. Cheap is seductive and almost always costly when it fails. Shoes that carry your body, a mattress that decides your energy, tools you use to earn, a coat that beats your weather. These are worth buying the best you can sensibly afford, even used and repaired, because they pay you back every single day you're alive. On the flip side, cars 2 to 4 years off the lot, sturdy secondhand furniture, cameras from careful hobbyists, hobby gear from optimistic quitters, these are where depreciation already did you a favor. Age reveals quality, and you are not obligated to buy someone else's marketing. Minimalism isn't about spending nothing, it's about refusing to buy price tags that hire more price tags. The 4th rule swaps chaos for choreography. Design defaults for the parts of your week that keep ambushing you. Minimalists look disciplined because they don't ask their moods to do logistics. They have a default breakfast and a default lunch that survive their busiest mornings. They keep 2 exhausted night dinners in the freezer and write them on a whiteboard so the future can find them in a fog. They pick 1 grocery day, 1 errand loop, 1 laundry day, 1 money day. They know which 2 cheap joys go on the calendar every week. A long shower and a book, a matinee with contraband snacks, a walk with someone they like. Defaults aren't a prison, they're a floor. When your floor is strong, the rest of the week gets to be creative again. Without defaults, creativity hires delivery and ride shares and gadgets to solve problems planning already solved. Rule 5. Make your phone boring. If your home screen is a mall, your month will be a rumor. Minimalism starts where your attention lives. Move shopping and trading apps off your home screen into a folder 2 swipes away. Turn off red badges that aren't about safety or work. Log out of impulse sites, removed saved cards, and set your browser to require a second device to check out. Use privacy cards for new subscriptions that expire by default, so renewal requires intention. Replace endless scroll with short, local inputs. A text thread with a real person, a note you actually use, a camera for moments you want to keep. None of this is about virtue, it's about friction. Make a bad choice 5 seconds slower and you'll make it less often. The cheapest minimalist tool on earth is the absence of a red dot. Rule 6 is the money plumbing most people skip because it's not Instagrammable. Run your cash on rails. Income lands in a staging account with no card attached, so you can't accidentally spend in the first 48 hours after payday. In week 1, bills-only account drafts essentials, housing and the maintenance that prevents bigger repairs, utilities and baseline communications, transportation that actually gets you to work or school, insurance that transfers ruin off your balance sheet, and minimum payments on any debt. The day after payday, small transfers refill labeled pockets for the costs that pretend to surprise you. Repairs and replacements, tires and service, co-pays and meds, seasonal energy spikes, modest gifts and social plans, kids' activities, pet care, subscriptions you actually use, and annuals you always forget. Every Friday morning, a weekly card reloads with the number that carries groceries and ordinary life for 7 days. On payday itself, a small savings transfer and an investing drip leave before any mood wakes up. That's it. No heroics, no guilt. Just a choreography that makes minimalism feel like freedom because your week stops billing you for improvisation. Rule 7. Enforce a quarterly rebuy ritual. Minimalism isn't about never subscribing, it's about refusing drift. Once a quarter, open your statements and scroll only for recurring charges. For each one, ask, would I buy this again today at this price if it disappeared tonight? If the answer is no, cancel on the spot. Then move that exact dollar amount to savings or investments in the same session, so the win becomes real instead of theoretical. Put a 5-minute timer on the ritual so it never feels like a project. 5 minutes, 4 times a year, and you will cancel more waste than a weekend of shame ever did. Minimalists don't hoard guilt, they hoard clarity. Rule 8 is where minimalism becomes a time machine. Buy proximity before prestige. Distance is an invisible bill most people pay with their bodies. Fuel, tires, insurance, parking, tolls, takeout from exhaustion, childcare acrobatics, and hours you will never get back. If you can't move closer yet, buy proximity by the hour. Stack your errands into one loop. Put your grocer, pharmacy, and gym along your route. Move one weekly joy within walking distance. Coffee with a friend, a class, a park. Proximity shrinks your bills because it shrinks decision fatigue. You stop hiring convenience to fix a life you designed for distance. A smaller home near your life beats a bigger house that taxes you for the privilege of owning it. Rule 9 is the only fashion advice you'll hear me give. Operate a capsule you'll actually wear. Minimalism in the closet is not about owning 5 items and freezing in February. It's about owning the right shapes and fabrics for your weather and your work, repeating them shamelessly, and caring for them so they last. Pick a uniform for the days you don't want to think. Black pants, soft tee, overshirt, warm socks, durable shoes, one jacket for my weather. Build around that with 2 or 3 accents you actually love. Stop buying laundry. That's what most fast fashion is. More maintenance disguised as novelty. The joy you're after won't arrive in a package. It arrives when your morning gets shorter because everything you own works together and works on your body. Rule 10 is the maintenance nobody sees because it's working. Schedule prevention like rent. Emergencies are expensive because they compress options. Minimalism keeps small problems small. Oil changes, filter swaps, roof checks, dentist appointments, shoe repairs, password audits, backup drives, tax prep. These aren't chores, they're wealth preservation. Put them on your calendar the way you put birthdays on your calendar.
Twice a year, add a money day with 5 items. Rebalance your boring portfolio against your written policy, project taxes, verify beneficiaries and titles, price your insurance for the coverage you actually use, and audit subscriptions. The virtue here isn't being a spreadsheet wizard. It's refusing to let "I'll do it later" turn into fees, rush charges, and crisis shopping. You don't need dramatic self-control when your calendar does the remembering for you.
You might be wondering how these rules translate when life is messy. Kids, shift work, tight budgets, apartments that feel too small for your stuff and your hopes. Minimalism is not a museum, it's a workshop. It forgives dents as long as the work gets done. So let's walk through 3 real kitchens and see the rules at work. In the first kitchen, a nurse pulls rotating shifts and keeps getting ambushed by delivery, surge rides, and overdrafts. She's not irresponsible, she's exhausted. On a Sunday afternoon, she writes her enough sentence on a sticky note. 2 pairs of shoes I walk in, 1 jacket for my weather, 1 bag for my shift, a phone that stays quiet, a bed that lets me sleep. She moves shopping apps off her home screen, sets a Friday weekly reload for groceries, stocks 2 exhausted night dinners and writes them on a freezer whiteboard, and names 2 cheap joys she can keep: a long shower and a podcast, an evening walk with a friend once a week. Income now lands in staging with no card. Week 1 bills draft from bills only. Small refills hit labeled pockets the day after payday. A savings transfer and an investing drip leave on payday. 90 days later, late fees are fossils, and she's got a month of essentials saved. She didn't become an aesthetic, she installed rails and a handful of defaults. Minimalism paid her in quiet. In the second home, 2 teachers live an hour from school because the rent is cheap. Distance bills them a second rent: fuel, tires, insurance, parking, takeout from fatigue, and childcare contortions when traffic lies. They run the numbers and see that proximity is cheaper than prestige. They give themselves 6 months to build a 2-month floor and then use part of it to cover moving costs to a smaller place near work. 1 car disappears, groceries become a walk, they run a quarterly rebuy ritual and redirect canceled subscriptions into their floor and a boring index month. They get a retention offer on internet and phone with a 10-minute call. One of them packages a school newsletter starter, templates, a 1-hour training, and a setup call, and sells it twice a quarter to local districts. Suddenly, their week is less expensive because it's closer, and their income is more legible because it's productized. Minimalism didn't shrink their joy, it shrank their waste. In the third case, a self-employed designer rides a hot quarter into a status watch, a heavy camera, and a club membership that becomes a guilt chore. She isn't a villain, she's human in a system of incentives that rewards impulse. She writes her enough list: gear she actually uses, clothes that match her days, a small set of tools that print time in her business, and runs 1 in, 1 out with a pause. Camera out, membership paused, watch sold. She becomes her own payroll. Invoices clear into staging, a tax skim leaves immediately, a fixed salary hits bills only twice a month, Friday reload covers groceries, her investing drip buys a broad, low-cost fund every payday. She builds a capsule wardrobe around her work uniform and stops buying laundry. Then she productizes her most requested fix: calendar tamer for small clinics, online booking, autoresponders, and intake forms delivered in a 2-hour slot. 3 retainers cover 1 big bill every month, whether she wants to work that weekend or not. Her week gets quiet. Minimalism for her is a scaffolding, not a color palette. Let's go deeper on 2 invisible territories: identity and social life. Identity purchases are the trash fire behind an amazing amount of clutter. We buy gear for the person we wish we were: hikers, musicians, gourmet home chefs, cyclists, crafters. Minimalism doesn't scold you for dreaming. It asks you to rent the identity before you buy it. Borrow the guitar for a month.
use the makerspace. Take the class that includes the tools. If the practice sticks, buy the single excellent item that matches what you actually do. Ownership follows repetition, not the other way around. Social life is similar. Friends who equate connection with spending will keep you broke and busy. Propose plans that match your values: a matinee, a board game night, a potluck, a walk. People who stay are your people. Minimalism is not anti-people, it is pro-presence. You may also feel the cultural pressure to optimize everything: points, apps, smart devices that promise savings while billing you a monthly fee. Minimalism votes for simplicity. If a system can't be maintained in 10 minutes a month, it's not a system, it's a new hobby. Pay in full, collect simple rewards, pick a tiny sandbox for curiosity, and leave the core alone. Interesting portfolios often fund complicated lives. Boring portfolios often fund interesting lives. Minimalism in investing isn't about martyrdom, it's about reducing the number of decisions that can go wrong. You free your attention to make money in your actual craft, not at your broker's login screen. What about kids? Minimalism with kids is realistic when it becomes a game of jobs, not a war on toys. Every object gets a job and a home. Saturday morning includes a 10-minute reset where everything returns to its home. Collections are curated, not exploded. Grandparents love boundaries when you give them creative options: books we can trade at the library sale, a museum day, $20 experience funds, rather than one more plastic mountain. Minimalism is not no, it's this is how we make space for yes. If you want to start tonight, don't empty a closet. Write your enough sentence and tape it inside a cabinet you open daily. Move shopping apps off your home screen and turn off red badges that aren't about safety or work. Rename 2 bank accounts so even future you can't pretend to forget: staging, no card, and bills only, and point all income to staging. Align autopays to draft from bills only in week 1. Create 2 labeled pockets for the next 90 days of predictable surprises and set tiny automatic refills the day after payday. Schedule a Friday weekly reload for groceries and ordinary life. Stock 2 exhausted night dinners and write them on the freezer whiteboard. Run a 5-minute rebuy ritual and cancel something you wouldn't buy again today. Then move that exact amount to your emergency fund. You just applied 6 of the 10 rules in under an hour without a single photograph of a clean countertop. In a month, the first thing you'll notice isn't a perfect living room, it's silence. Bills draft without drama, groceries stop feeling like negotiation. Your phone looks like a tool, not a mall. You start saying later to purchases that used to walk through your door because the 24-hour pause found you again. Your social life gets cheaper and better because you're proposing plans you actually like. In 3 months, you'll have a small floor of cash that changes your posture. Emergencies return to being invoices. You work with a calmer brain and negotiate with a real spine. None of this is magic. It's the compound return of attention, of removing 10,000 little frictions your month kept charging you to ignore. Minimalism that actually works doesn't ask you to be a saint. It asks you to be a designer. Define enough, require a swap, buy excellence where failure hurts, buy used where price pain already happened, install defaults for fatigue, make your phone boring, put money on rails, run brief rebuy rituals, buy proximity, wear a uniform you love, schedule prevention. If you can obey those 10 rules when you're tired, you won't just have fewer things, you'll have more of yourself. And that, in the end, is the only luxury that never turns into a bill. If you need a single sentence to carry into the next 7 days, let it be this: buy back your peace, not your image. Peace is a short list of rules, a handful of habits, and a week that keeps its promises. Image is a bill that never stops billing. Choose the first. The second never loved anyone back.